Hi guys, hope you're all having a great day so far. Today's video is looking at the age-old question of, is World of Tanks actually in a big decline? Are people stopping playing World of Tanks console in specific? And whether or not my opinion goes in line with the statistics, what's actually happening. And then we're going to analyse a few things and give my opinion. For those of you that don't know, you can have a look at the server statistics for World of Tanks console if you go onto the website, link in the description for this website that I'm currently on, and this gives like the daily active figures for you guys to have a look at, and obviously that'll be helpful for those of you who want to kind of go along with this video as to the statistics. Now, we've got statistics from 2020 basically, so this is February in 2020. We've got it until like the most recent day or the upload of this video the previous night, so that's the 23rd of May. So we've got a lot of data here to actually have a look at, and kind of you can see already just from what you see that the average player base increased dramatically around March time. So you had the most players probably on average in March. That's obviously because there were a lot of updates going on, and players were starting to come back after leaving the game for those months after Update 6.0. Update 6.0 came in around this point here, or this point here, I should say. So you're looking at this kind of area here where Update 6.0 came in, where the game kind of changed quite a lot, and you'll see that actually a lot of the players actually came onto the game, so there are a lot more new players within that, and we can actually have a look at the statistics for the new accounts that joined World of Tanks console in this period. So you'll see that there were actually a lot more new accounts coming around that sort of time. Obviously you can see that there's more data here, so you see that on one specific day you're getting 18,000 or 16,000 new players from PS4. With regards to the most recent one, obviously we had the update with regards to the modern tanks came out on this date, hence why you got 28,000 new players around that kind of time. But you see the numbers have actually been dwindling in terms of the new players that come onto the game since like November of last year. Basically there's been a sharp decline in the number of new players every single day. So you see now on average it's about 9,000 per day, whereas before in this kind of area you were looking at nearly 13,000. So there's a big difference in those kind of times, other than the big spikes every now and again when a massive update comes out. And I think that these players that you can see on these days are really just because of the modern tanks coming out and everyone wanting to play that from PC and all of the various other consoles. I mean, if we do compare, the new accounts from 2020 of last year, the numbers are significantly higher. And if we go back even further, I don't know if there's that much data that we can have a look at, but if we go from a long time ago, that you'll see that the player numbers on average are staying higher than what they were previously. So I guess what we can take from this is, yes, the number of average players joining the game is higher now than it has ever been. But in recent times, I think that we've seen a big decline in the number of new players, just because, the game isn't as big as I guess it was with regards to the promotions and all of the various other things like the update that have been coming out around this kind of time, with all of the new seasons and the seasons that get people involved within the game. But it is dramatically higher than the area in 2019, where I think the game was kind of very, very stagnant, and there's certainly been a big boost in player numbers around this time, and I'm guessing that quite a few people are actually choosing to play in the on the new game mode, although we don't exactly know for sure. But we also see the total number of battles being played every day, so we can actually have a look at that. I believe if we just go to here, it's loading. But yeah, I'm interested how the number of battles has actually changed over the course of this time. Obviously you can see that, like, actually previously we were having a lot more players coming into the game, 2 million battles per day, whereas now we're not even getting that, and we've got one of the highest player bases since that kind of era. It's a big deal, and certainly the introduction of PlayStation players has grown over the time, and the amount of Xbox players has actually decreased. If we have a look at what the graphs are saying, and certainly you can actually see that in game with the majority of players being on PS4. In the lobbies, I've certainly noticed that as well, because obviously the game became cross-play, so you could actually play against each other rather than these separate different things. And I think that the game overall has it's grown, and I'm just hoping that what happens is that they try and maintain the players that we have got since these recent updates. But my main problem and concern is that they've not managed to retain these players that have come onto the game, around March time. We've got a lot of players dropping off. They've decided they're not going to stick around, and you could see that by the number of PS4 players. It rose significantly. And then they've just left again. And so we're left with this same situation whereby it's just going to end up like this again, where the PS4 players are now going to meet the Xbox players again, round about down here, maybe slightly higher. But yeah, I think that this is quite a big problem, and I think that this kind of shows the level at which the new player experience on World of Tanks is declining, and I think that's a really big problem. I think that Wargaming haven't spent enough time trying to fix the low tiers, and also just provide people with information and guides and stuff like that would enable them to learn the game, because trust me, it's not fun starting from zero. I know some of you who watch this video will probably understand what I'm on about. If you've just joined the game, or you've joined the game a couple months ago, it was a very, very bad struggle to get through to those higher tiers and learn the game, and you have to go to external websites like YouTube and Twitch and places like that to get your information, because it's not readily available in game. And I think that that's a really big problem with regards to educating the player base, keeping them entertained, that it just doesn't allow people to actually learn what they should be about the game. And there needs to be some more tutorial systems in game for sure. That's one of my focuses for my suggestions to Wargaming, is try and actually educate these players, because what happens, yes, you can bring in large numbers by introducing these modern tanks updates and all of the various different things, but what actually happens around this is, you get these players come in, they're playing the game for a little bit, they play for a week or 2 weeks or a month, and then they decide that the game's just not for them, and they're going to leave. It should be noted, however, that, COVID lockdown restrictions in England did have kind of gone away slightly with regards to the time period here, so that could be reflected within the graph. So I'm not being completely, stringent on that's the reason why, but it should be noted that, around this time people are finding other things to do. They've been locked in the house for months and months and months and months on end, and I think that, you're going to have to really put effort into trying to keep them to come back to the game after this period at which they've left the game for a little bit to do other things, to get out of the house and do all of the various activities that they can now. And so, they've got to try really hard to maintain this, and I'm really not seeing that currently with regards to keeping the new players and also just maintaining the player base that they've got. The Xbox players don't tend to vary too much within the year. There's very little variation. In fact, since update 6.0 and all of the various updates that they've had, you've seen that the Xbox players have actually kind of decreased, or they certainly didn't increase very much between that kind of period. You'll see that, it was kind of steady throughout the whole time. So they're guaranteed players kind of who are going to play your game. But you see that the PS4 players really have kind of led to a decline, to be honest with you, and there's not much going on around this kind of area. Yes, it's increased, but then it's now starting to decrease, and I think that, trying to keep that open and making sure that they actually come back to the game every week and every month when the updates drop and stuff like that is something that everyone wants to focus on. So I guess with regards to, is the game actually declining? Is World of Tanks console in a decline? I'd say no, it's not currently. Is it in a small decline because of all of the various different impacts that's happened right now with regards to lockdown easing and all of the kind of stagnant stuff, because we're kind of in that region where the season pass is coming out and we're in a bit of a cooling off period where there's not too many updates coming out. Obviously, we got some update news recently with regards to World of Tanks that I did cover in 2 days ago, I think it was, as of the upload of this video, so you can have a look at that if you want to see what's coming to World of Tanks very soon. But other than that, I think that is realistically everything with regards to the statistics. I mean, we can have a look at how many people actually stick on for 5 games. Now, it does vary quite dramatically. It's not a super massive amount, but you can see that actually the percentage of people that actually play 5 games every single day is actually very similar to the amount of people that log on, I guess, every day. But it is something that I would kind of like to see increase, I guess, and that with the active player base. I'd just trying to make sure that they're trying to increase, make it more new player friendly to keep the players that come into the game. You know, you're having 9,000 new players every day, and you see that the game is still declining each kind of day. So I guess trying to maintain those people is something that I really want to see, and hopefully the content on the channel can actually help with regards to educating and informing players as to what the best things are about the game and how you can actually learn the game a little bit more and why you should actually play the game. To ensure, you know, you're having fun. I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to fun, and if you're not enjoying, then don't play the game. Really don't play the game, because it's not worth investing your time if you're just going to be upset or you're going to get frustrated or anything like that. And yeah, that's why I've had plenty of times where I've not played the game for months on end, and then I'll come back every now and again to have a big stint of games, and that's kind of similar to when I played the game, really. From December this year until now, basically, is where I've been playing. So I guess I'll make up one of these active players within the console. Other than that, I hope this kind of informed you a little bit, and I really wanted to make the video to get your opinions on what you're thinking of World of Tanks. And for those of you who haven't actually seen the statistics and the numbers for the game and whether or not it's actually decreasing or not, and I think it's good to always know what's happening with regards to the game. Are we going to suddenly get an announcement that the game is ending and no one's going to play, and that all of these players on the forums are saying the game is dead, the game is rubbish, it's not working? And obviously the numbers show you that actually the game still has quite a lot of players, and they certainly have been playing a lot more recently, and that we're getting new players, more and more new players every single day. And over the course of the last couple of years, we've certainly had a big introduction of new players, but the amount of active players has stayed kind of similar. So I guess the new player experience does need to get upgraded, and I certainly agree with that and agree with the statistics right here. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you want to check out other content with regards to the guides, we've got update news, we've got various different things for console tips, beginner tips. If you're a new player and you're watching this video for console, then be sure to have a look at those. I will link a playlist on screen right now, along with my most recent update news video, if you want to check that out as well. So make sure to have a look at those if you do fancy watching some more World of Tanks content. But other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.